Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today I'm going to be presenting a StencilGirl blog project and be their guest artist, and we're going to be doing some abstract mark making in my Dina Wakley journal. So I'm just starting off on an ungessoed page in my Dina Wakley journal. I think this is the original one with the burlap and the canvas in it. And I'm going in with a warm colour palette in the background. So I'm using Dina Wakley paints. I've got carnation there, and then I added blushing, and now I'm going in with some magenta. And I'm just sort of being really haphazard with how I'm applying it to the page. So I've got quite a wide brush. It's quite a dry brush, and I'm just sort of moving into the gaps. You'll notice I'm applying paint in 3 areas on my page. When I do pages like this, it's just a little rule I have that I always add colour in 3s. Mostly. Sometimes I go in, oh no, I actually did add it in the red in 3 places. So I do sort of do that just to create those visual triangles on the page. I'm also drying off the paint as I go along because I want to put layers of this, of different mark making over the top. Now the great thing about acrylic paints is that, you know, once they are dry, they are permanent, so you can add lots of layers, which is obviously where stencils come in really handy. So this stencil the stencil I'm using in this project are all from Ray Misserman, I think, and I'll leave the stencil details in the blog post below, in the description box below, and I'll also leave the link to the blog post below as well. So I'm just going in with some black gesso and adding some really strong marks on my page. So I really love this because they're sort of kind of organic-y type shapes, but you get this really sort of strong crisp line from them. And obviously using the black gesso as well, you get this sort of really matte effect. You can see I'm joining up the little pieces so I can get longer areas as well, and that sort of grounds the stencil piece to the edges. So that's one thing quite often when I'm stenciling, I like to make sure that it is grounded somewhere on the page. And by grounding, I sort of mean connecting to the edges, so it makes a little bit of sense, I suppose. The piece in the middle doesn't, but because it sort of overlaps both pages, it works. And the good thing about mark making is by putting some random mark making over the top, it's going to tie it all together. So while it looks a little stark at the moment, once you sort of sprinkle some marks over the top, it's going to sort of become a life of its own. And having those really dark areas on the page, you can see, makes the marks really sing because they just become so much brighter on the black. So just like applying the paint in the background, I like to apply my marks in 3 areas as well. And again, that's sort of just recreating those visual triangles. But one thing I will often do when adding marks to a page is to make sure that they're random and make sure that they flow into different areas. So I'm not containing them just within one spot. You'll notice sort of with those dots, I've sprinkled them completely across the page, across different colors, and I'm actually going over some of the marks I've already made. And that's really important. If I had just kept the marks sort of within the areas of the black, or, you know, within all the orangey bits on the page, it would look very contained, and I want it to look a little bit more organic and a little bit more flowing across the page. So I've used yellow, I have used the carnation, both sort of colours that are echoed in the back. I decided I want to add a little bit of metallic to this, so I've got some copper metallic that I'm adding some lines in. I started off doing really fine lines, which I didn't like, so I went back and made them a little bit chunkier. And again, metallics and black are just such a great combination, so they work really well together. Again, I'm going in and drying off my work. Now, a lot of people, you know, for or against drying acrylic paint. It is a plastic, so do work in a well ventilated area. I work all at once when I'm doing pages like this, so I'm not very patient, and I like to have dry layers to work with. If you're working on a number of things at a time, do a layer, put it aside, do something else and come back to it. Now I'm just going in with my paint pens and adding some chunky marks over the top, and again I'm overlapping. Paint pens obviously have acrylic paint in them as well. I have a lot of different paint pens in a lot of different colours, but my standards are having the black and white pens in a few different widths. So this is actually a really chunky white pen. I just really love the effect that you get on the page. If you find it's a little bit translucent when you apply your white paint pen to the page, shake it up really well before you go, or dry off a layer and then do a second layer over the top is really, really handy. So I wanted to have a focus on this page, and again Ray has these amazing flowers which I love, and I thought I'd be really contrasting with the colour and go for this beautiful lapis blue over the top with these flowers. So I'm going in, and again with both stencils, I forgot to mention, they come with the masks, so you not only get the stencil pipe but you get the mask as well, so you get 2 for 1 with these stencils, which is fantastic and great for gel printing and so on. But I love this stencil because you've got the variety of different sizes as well to use, which is really, really handy. The other thing I really like about this is, even though I've got that really sort of stark blue on the page, it is still translucent enough that I can sort of see through to my layers underneath and the mark making underneath. So while it blocks out the background, it's still part of it. You can still sort of see what's going on, which I really, really like. I'm just going through with a really fine white paint pen now and doing some really, really scribbly lines on the outside of this stencil. And in your close-up you will see how scribbly this is. If I'm on the blue, that's fine. If I'm off the blue, that's okay too. It's just giving a little bit of definition and just popping those images to the foreground a little bit. My pen wasn't working particularly well. I think I actually swapped over to a new pen halfway through, so again, give it a really good shake if it's not working, and try again. So these pages of sort of random mark making are pages I do when I want to do something but I'm not sure what, and it's kind of very relaxing for me. I find if I just put paint on the page and marks on the page, I relax a lot. So I thought to sort of honour that, I'd write on Just Breathe on my page. So I'm just using my black paint pen and going in. I like to write on my pages when I'm doing any fonts with paint pen directly, because I work mostly with acrylic paint. And my layers are dry. If I make a mistake, I can actually wipe it away with wet wipe. So it gives me a little bit of working time, which I really love. I also used my white paint pen, you can see there, and just did a little bit of highlighting around my text, just again to pop it out from the background and give it a little bit of focus. So you can sort of see all the layers, you can see the paint in the background, you can see the mark making, those beautiful flowers over the top, but the fact that they're still kind of translucent, and you can see the mark making behind it. So I hope you have a go at playing with this. It's so much fun to do. As I said, it's a really sort of meditative, relaxing thing to do, and it's something that you can kind of follow a recipe to, or you can just go nuts and do your own thing. It's a great way to explore the mediums you have in your kit as well. So check out the description box below for the StencilGirl stencils and the blog post as well. Until next time, bye for now.